Started recording. We
Cool.
can begin. So yeah, welcome back, guys, to the second episode of the Guitar Files. So, just yeah, just basic stuff. Just start out. When and why did you start playing the guitar?
That's a good question. I think I was kind of born into it.
Mhm.
Like my dad, he played guitar, and I guess because his dad played guitar. Hold on, there are people. My dad's screaming.
All good.
That's funny. A lot of excitement right now. But yeah, my dad was, you know, I guess his dad taught him how to play, and then I was always surrounded by music. So I guess one day I wanted to play. I think it was because of my cousin Mario. He actually was the drummer for exmortus for the longest time. Recently he left the band, but he was like 10, I think, and he wanted to start learning to play. And I guess I got a little jealous because he was giving my dad was giving him some attention to learn the guitar, and I was like, hey, what? And I'm feeling left out here, you know. That's
Yeah,
like my buddy to play and stuff. So I decided to start learning too, so we could just do more things together. And yeah, I guess from there, just I got more serious and more passionate about it. Because before I just loved music. I didn't really want to play so much. So that I think that was like what really got me into like to play was I guess the sense of sharing, the sense of jamming with someone, you know. So yeah, that was it. I guess family is what kind of drove me to this.
yeah. Really on that. My dad's been a bass player in metal bands for a while, so it's definitely good being born to a musical family where you're surrounded by it.
Yeah, yeah, cool. That's good. Awesome. Yeah, so you've been playing for how long?
About 2 years.
Oh, cool, cool. That's pretty good. That's
So,
cool.
I see that you play the Jackson Rhodes a lot, which is personally my favorite too. Was your first guitar a Rhodes, or did you start out with something
I,
less?
s-
Or
I started off with a was it a it was like one of those it's called a crate guitar crate and a crate amp kind of like package that costs it was really cheap, but it was a great starter pack. That was my first guitar. I
yeah,
still have it somewhere actually. I have it somewhere, and it's a cheap guitar, but I just have it there for like a little, I don't know, memento or something, just to kind of look back on that, keep there for good luck. But
yeah,
yeah, but the next guitar I had after that was and then I started to get other guitars. Like the next one was a Gibson SG. I still have that one. And then I started getting into the more shred stuff because I got the SG because I love rock. I loved Angus Young and Tony Iommi. They played SGs, and I just loved that sound. So that's what I went for. But then I got more into, I guess, Ozzy Osbourne, um, and I guess other shred stuff like Marty Friedman, David Mustaine. They played Jackson. But I went for the V. I think because it's just Randy Rhoads. He kind of really inspired me to play a certain way because he was show off and sounded cool with the classical rock hybrid thing he was going for some songs. And yeah, kind of wanted to emulate that. So I don't know, just wanted to get that guitar, and I thought it was like that's the only way to do it if you have a sharp guitar.
yeah,
So that kind of inspired me to play like that and use that guitar as well. So I tend to, I mean, I have other guitars too. I have like Dinkies and a soloist, but I like to use the V's for exmortus specifically because I think that I kind of want that image and sound to be portrayed with that kind of music specifically. So
and was Randy like your major inspiration? Because when I first heard Ex Mortis, I thought it was thrashy, but I heard like that bit of like Beethoven, like that classical sound to it, which I
right,
really.
right. Cool. Yeah, thank you. I think yeah, I think I would say Randy's always he was like I said the first guitarist to really like I don't know like really inspire me. Like okay, with Angus Young and Tony Iommi it was a little different. It was more like the riff kind of stuff and like rock and leads. But I think about probably because I didn't really hear any solo sections from them in live videos. I'm sure they had many, but I didn't see any live footage or hear any recordings. But I think when I heard the tribute live album from Ozzy with Randy doing like a whole solo section. It was like rocking and then classical arpeggios and then back and forth. And I just thought it was like the coolest thing ever. So I
Yeah.
think Randy was probably the first kind of the first guitarist to inspire me in that live sense of like kind of showing off, and just ripping like all these awesome like shred licks. So yeah, I would say Randy is probably like the first awe-inspiring guitarist for me, and yeah, for the rest is history. Because after that, that got me into like Ingve Malmsteen, Jason Becker, Marty Friedman, more of that kind of similar sound. Of course, they did in a different, they expanded on it, but yeah, I always fall back on Randy on how he, you know, how he blended it at first.
Yeah, amazing guitarist. And a bit about more of Exmortus touring with Obituary. I thought that was pretty sweet because Obituary is such a legendary death metal band. What's that?
Oh, that was amazing. That was
Yeah,
awesome. Like they were always like their heavy ass riffs, they're chugging and like it's just groovy ass fucking shit. And when we found out we were going to tour with them, we toured with them twice actually. The first time was a year ago, like around this time. Um, they needed a band to open up with them, open up for them in Europe, and they needed like 2 weeks to like. Actually, they needed to know that same night if we could do it. And at the time, I had no drummer. My cousin he had just recently left, so we got Adrian, our new drummer. Like last minute, I was like, hey, I know you wanted to try out, but if you try out, you got to tour with us 2 weeks from now to Europe with Obituary. And he's like, oh shit, let's do it. So he tried out. It worked out beautifully, and those guys were very welcoming. Those guys were so cool. Dude, Obituary, we consider them our uncles because they took care of us. Like they took care of us. They were the coolest guys, and yeah, they were just. It was an awesome tour to be on.
yeah,
Granted, we're a little different musically, right? We're a little, I guess, a little more. We're on a different. We're on the different spectrum of extreme, but a lot of the fans dug it anyway, and I thought that was really good.
yeah. I think that's awesome. I'm not sure if you did. I sadly missed a show if you guys came to Arizona, but I
Oh,
think. But yeah, my dad was saying he saw you guys in New York when you
oh, sweet.
opened up Obituary, and I told him about you guys recently, saying really cool shreddy thrashy stuff, and I think it's really impressive how you'll do the lead stuff and those complicated rhythms while you're doing vocals. Do you find that difficult to do?
Thank you. I do. Yes, it's a little. Um, at first, it was very hard for me to get into that, but I always looked to like how Dave Mustaine did it, how um, fucking who else does that kind of shit? Alexi Laiho, doing like complex, riffs, and even leads at the same time, and I kind of would like use that as like, as a foundation to help me with that, and I kind of just learned to do it separately. I would just play the riff and feel it out, groove to it, and then I would just groove to the vocal pattern, with the pulse,
Yeah,
and I'll just feel it out separately, and then little by little, I'll put them together like measure by measure, and then after that, I just came to be more of a feel, of a groove. So now I kind of just do it naturally because of that. Like I've already have it separated in my mind. If I write a new riff and I'm singing over it, and that riff is a little weird, the rhythm is a little off from the vocals from time to time, and yeah, it's kind of a weird thing. It's like a weird dance thing that I have in my mind as I do that. So yeah, it's a little difficult, but I mean, after it's like with anything. If you just even if you're not doing um, like singing and playing guitar at the same time, it's like drums too, or even just a guitar riff. You still have to match your left and right hand together. So it's just a interesting harmony of the physical movements of your body. So
yeah,
in time, it's actually it's a little more natural than you may think. But at first, of course, it's like what the fuck, I can't even do it. At least that's how it was for me.
yeah.
But
So I think I first discovered you guys earlier this year when I saw some of your covers that you would post on Instagram of just jamming to songs and covering. Is that was the Instagram cover things how you wanted to get your name out there, or was it just a fun side thing?
it's just fun to kind of like just do that, and a challenge too. I a lot of those solos I did were just some of my favorites and some requests that I just figured like this would be cool because I like to revisit a lot of my favorite songs, and it kind of keeps me on my toes, and also like I try to revisit them to this day, just so I could keep them in my mind, and all the techniques that were involved, and even just the songs, just to jam them, because I always find it fun to jam with the band, when we're not actually rehearsing the set, we're just jamming songs. It's fun just to play, favorite tunes and whatnot. But it was
Yeah,
more of a kind of a self-improvement kind of thing, just to keep myself on my toes, give myself a challenge, and also I guess get my name out there too. Why not,
mhm,
show my progress or or
mhm.
whatever, but yeah, more of a
Yeah, definitely.
challenge
Yeah, I think I
actually,
actually
so
yeah,
kind of broke out.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, here we go. It's good now. Another way I discovered you guys, my good friend Chris, who played in the band called War Slaves, said he toured with you guys way
Yeah,
back in the day, and he
yeah,
was like, "I checked this guy out. He's awesome." And he sent me
dude.
your covers actually. And then I listened to you guys, and I was pretty blown away.
Yeah, I remember those guys. Yeah, I know. We played a lot of shows with those guys. It was I forget what year it was, but actually a couple few years we played like a bunch of shows with them. They're great guys. Hell yeah, I missed them. I haven't really
Yeah.
seen them around. Did they all move over there or what? Did
What'd you say?
they all move over there in Arizona? Is Chris in Arizona now?
He was in Arizona for a while.
Oh,
No, I actually met him through Instagram when he
okay.
was doing the same thing I was doing for a while, posting covers of songs. He got pretty big at it, but eventually stopped.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
he's a great fucking player. So
yeah, he's crazy.
yeah, I haven't seen him in a while. It's good. So yeah, dang, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Shared me to you.
And another thing I want to discuss was Seymour Duncan pickups. Now I realized that from watching gear interviews with you guys, various interviews. Now you've had various lead guitar players. I noticed they've all played active EMGs, and then
Yeah.
you always play Seymour Duncan. So, and I personally use EMGs. What's the preference between a passive and an active for you?
I think I mean a lot of the new active pickups are actually pretty good now. I mean, I'm not saying that they were ever bad, but to my preference, that they were a little more they were just too much, I think, for what I wanted out of exmortus. Um, because I mean, granted, we're an extreme band. I guess we're considered like thrash, which is an extreme form of metal.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt like it was too much because with exmortus, I still wanted to maintain a kind of like a little more rocking sound somewhere. So you know what I mean, like with some dynamics, like the tone that you hear when I pick a certain way for a particular part of the riff will be different with the active pickup because active pickups are a little more consistent, which is
Mhm.
great. But like I said, I kind of want to make a little more, I don't know, kind of have a slight vintage effect, slight
Mhm.
vintage sound with Exmortus. That's why I use Marshall amps too for that. But I think it's balanced too because the other guitarists would use active EMGs or just active pickups in general, and then different kind of amps. So you hear that live, and I like to emphasize that because you can totally hear it. Like you have a PV and a Marshall,
Yeah.
on opposite ends of the stage. You hear it live. You could hear both guitars clearly. So that's great. So I think that's why you know, I pretty much will always stick to Seymour Duncan's because of that, because you can hear the difference automatically. But even in general, I think Seymour Duncan, like for myself, I think they're a little more responsive to what I want to, express what comes out. Like I play soft. That soft tone is going to be heard a little more distinctly than on an active pickup. At least that's from what I've played. And also batteries suck. I don't want to replace batteries all the time. Yeah,
And
but I do. Oh, sorry.
oh, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just say that, but I do have a guitar with active pickups, and yeah, it's great. But I would probably want to reserve that, purely for something to be like extreme, just consistently. So I'm not totally against them at all. I'm just, for the sake of Exmortus retaining that somewhat of a vintage rockin' tone somewhere in there. So that's
Uh,
that.
yeah, and the last thing I'd like to go over, if you were able to tour with any band you could for a stadium tour, whatever kind of tour, who'd you probably pick?
Damn, well, stadium, huh? It's that big. I guess I'll still choose my favorites. I mean, I know they're so big. They're like, Ozzy, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. I would love that. Even Slayer, like, the the big four bands, Metallica, Megadeth would be awesome. But I mean, realistically, shit, I don't even know if that is even possible. They're untouchable, man. But I guess more realistically, I would choose bands like that we're a little more like fucking Black Dahlia. They're blowing up so much more now, and maybe a little more attainable than Metallica or something. But yeah, Black Dahlia would be an awesome tour. Fucking Revocation. You fucking Children of Bodom again. That was a cool tour. I think we fit with them so much that another tour with them would be really cool. But yeah, a lot of riffy, shreddy bands I think would be great. So
Yeah, I think
so
Iron
say again.
Sick.
Say again. Sorry, I didn't hear you.
An Iron Maiden exmortus show would be sick.
Oh, that'd be fucking cool. They're
they complement each other.
Yeah, they're fucking my idol. So
great.
Awesome.
Wrap it up. Thanks for joining me and doing this.
Oh, no problem. Sorry about the missing of this the first one.
Yeah, all good. We all have things that come up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, join us back next time, guys. When I should be getting Bryce from Silver Talon to do this in a few days.
He
did a solo on the new album.
Yeah, he did. He did Into the Maw of Hell. It was cool. Yeah, he's the homie, man. Me and him when he was in Spellcaster, we go way back. So
yeah,
great guy, great guitarist.
Yeah, it's killer. All right, well, thanks for joining, man.
For sure. Thank you for having me, dude.
Yep.